All right. Welcome to this Monday's meditation. Whether you're here in person or you're going to be watching the recording later. This is for if you're seeing this for the first time. My name is Steph Skupin, and I work with people, who want to be clear in their minds and not so much get drawn into the stories of suffering, individual and collective pain. But really find freedom and inner space and a sense of peace and serenity in their lives. And this meditation is part of a 12-week series. And today, what we're going to do is consider identity. Identity, what it is, and also how this identity, this thing called identity, keeps us running on the hamster wheel of having to do stuff all the time. So your identity is who you think you are, and I believe that is a Byron Katie quote. Meaning that from early childhood on, we develop our identity through a process of separating ourselves from the world around us. So as animals and as small children have way more connection with the world. If you've ever done like a rebirthing process or something like that, there is hardly any boundary between a mother and an unborn child from the child's perspective, and not right after birth. So there's really strong connection. But as we grow older, and this is an important process, as we grow up, it's individuation. We develop this identity of this is who I am. And we identify first of all with the name that the parents give us, right? You like out of a sudden, you know who you are. And then with the familial belief systems, and then later with the societal belief systems, and with the definitions of gender and race and status, and the core values and beliefs of the cultures that we live in. And most of those thoughts, those values and beliefs and ideas that we identify with have something to do with how we want to show up in the world, how we think we're perceived, how we feel, and what we like and what we don't like. So attachment, like, these are the things that we attach to. And attachment means the stickiness of recurring ideas. Like a lot of the time we find that the ideas and the thoughts we have, they keep coming back. And sometimes they're even like, like a fly around your head. You can't get rid of one of them. So that's the attachment. That's what attachment is. And it's the propensity also to believe this thought without inquiry or without doubting it. And the attachment to these thoughts and around desires and aversions in mine and yours, and it happens precisely because it's what I think is me or mine. Eckhart Tolle puts all of this together under ego. This is the ego identity. And the main characteristic of this ego identity is that it separates the world into mine and not mine. So when you start listening to your thinking along those lines, you notice that it's my thinking, my body, my name, my family, my partner, my dog, my village, my career, and on and on and on. And then outside of that. And so the idea of the ego is that the more we can call mine, the safer we feel, or we think we feel. And in the end, that's even correct, because when you get to the stage of where everything belongs to you, where you are connected with the whole world, then there is safety. But before that, there is this fallacy to think that the more I have, the more I am, the safer I will be. And that is this illusory sense of safety, because it's not going to keep you from going the way of old life. And that social identity that we built, again, this is a healthy part of the development of every child. With this social identity is dependent on love, approval, and appreciation outside of ourselves. And then when we don't get those, then we feel lonely and abandoned and bereft. And again, going to that spiritual essence of who we are, when we are more than this human-centered identity and connected with life on a bigger scale, then that can give us a deep sense of well-being and a deep sense of connectedness. And that's the next step in the evolution of this individuation process, is a spiritual connection. And the individuation should ideally be done when we're in our mid-20s, and then we move past it into a larger connection, as and starting to understand ourselves as a part of humanity. The first steps of that is a part of community, and then later understanding ourselves as part of life, as part of creation. So when we're sitting in meditation, what we can do with this is practice seeing the world and seeing ourselves from the perspective of the observer. And the observer is this conscious and awake viewpoint that is not attached to I. Again, can get confusing when you stood like, okay, well, is this I or isn't it I? So the viewpoint of the observer observes ourselves as well as the environment that we're in. So it is a step beyond that small ego. And when you merge with that observer, then you notice that observer and the object of the observation and the act of observation become one. There isn't any more a separation, and that is being aware in consciousness. So today we'll practice noticing the pull of attachment of our thoughts as they relate to our lives. So practicing noticing the attachment and just observing it. Like, just again, this is not doing anything with it, not like thinking it should be otherwise, just noticing and observing. This is how it is. And in that noticing, we'll continue to welcome the thoughts and ideas that we have about ourselves and about the world. And then the next step is, and I'll keep guiding you through it, then who would I be in this moment without that thought? So let's get ready to meditate. Let's sit consciously. Let's sit. Yes, consciously, comfortably and easily. Let's sit comfortably and easily with the chest, with the spine up and the chest open so the breath can flow easily. And if that feels good for you and comfortable, then close your eyes. Or just look away from the screen and just focus on nothing much, and just focus in the middle distance. And just become aware of the breath. Notice the gentle rise and fall of the breath as your breath is right now. without trying to change it, without trying to influence it. Notice its rhythm and its depth. And then become aware of the sensations of breath. Sensation of the air coming past your nostrils, down the throat and expanding the chest. And then the exhalation, the air coming back out. Noticing if that sensation of air is different, the inhalation and the exhalation. With the next inhalation, just follow the sensation all the way down into the body until you get to the feet. And become aware of the feet, touching each other, touching the ground or the surface you're sitting on. Notice the sensations of shoes or clothes or air on skin. Become aware of the inner body of feet. Become aware of the ankles, the lower legs, the calves and the shins. Become aware of the knees, thighs, the hips, buttocks, the area of the genitals. Become aware of the lower abdomen. Notice any tension, discomfort. If you can, let it go just by bringing your awareness to that point. You can let it go or just allow it to be there for now. Becoming aware of the region of the stomach and the liver, just underneath the rib cage. Becoming aware of the chest. You might even be aware of your heart beating. Becoming aware of the shoulders, arms, hands. Once again, noticing any discomfort, tension, restlessness. Becoming aware of the length of the spine. Throat. The face. The head. Becoming aware of the whole body. Notice bringing your awareness to your hands. Notice the energy of hands. If all you knew about your hands was this feeling of energy, this feeling of sensation, of hands. Would you know what they look like? If you had no memory of the visual of your hands, just feeling them. Just feeling the sensation of hands. You might even perceive the sensation almost going past the boundary of the skin. Just a very subtle awareness of maybe warmth or just very subtle vibration that might go just a little further than what your memory tells you your hands should look like. And just ask yourself, if you didn't know what your hands looked like, just feeling them. What would they be without the thought that you know? Bring your awareness to your torso. Just being aware of the subtle sensations of the body. Without memory telling you what your body looks like. What would be the picture that you can sense? And as you're sensing this body, can you expand the awareness just a little further beyond the physical boundaries of the body? Maybe start with one side or start with the front, just expanding your heart space a little bit into the room. Maybe you can move out a little bit further. Expand the awareness beyond the room, maybe beyond your house. Who would you be without the thought that you are just human? Noticing again the breath, this gentle wave of in and exhalation, its rhythm. And then notice what thought takes your awareness away from breath. Acknowledge it with a nod or a bow. Notice how it describes who you are, how it pertains to who you are. And who would you be without this thought right now? Who would you be without this thought right now? Notice if your answer is another string of thoughts, another story and explanation. And just acknowledge it with kindness and respect. And repeat the question: who or what would I be without this thought? Notice what thought takes your awareness away from presence. Once again, acknowledge it with a nod or a bow. And notice how it pertains to who you are. Who would you be without this thought? Who or what would you be without this thought? Present and free from identity. Who would you be? Bring your awareness back to the breath. Just take a deep breath in and breathe out. And become aware of the feet, the ankles and the legs, the hips, the abdomen, chest, shoulders, arms, hands. Becoming aware of the spine, the throat, the face, and the head. Becoming aware of the whole body. Embodying awareness, embodying consciousness. Embodying it, but not being limited by it. Taking another deep breath in and breathe out. And in your own time, when you're ready, slowly open the eyes again. As every week, the invitation is to sit for a little bit of time each day. If you do have the time to listen to the whole recording, if you do have time to sit 20 minutes, it's wonderful. But also just a little bit each day will be good. And keep asking yourself, who would I be without that thought, without that memory, without that story of who I am? And have a good, wonderful rest of your evening. And I hope to see you again next week.